These jokes are grand.
I'm sorry, you're getting too
Oh, sorry.
interesting. Recording is now on.
Yeah. So what if the black swan is uh, basically meaning that we don't need to have to invent a new graph format, but that everybody is just going to use AI to basically consume some text, whether it be visual meta, and then basically have it generate a 3D file in any format. It doesn't matter, as you know. It's just as long as it knows about the file standard or the spec, then it can just generate it. So I was thinking, like, if you just forget about file formats and you forget about coming up with a own graph format, what if you give uh, an AI, could even happen in the author application, you give it two things. You give it a subset of visual meta, and on the other hand, you give it a 3D file, um, and it doesn't matter which format, and you basically say, okay, this is a simple graph 3D file with the graph, and I want you to take this visual meta and generate something similar. Like, what if, I was thinking a bit like, maybe that is the black swan. Maybe we don't have to necessarily come up with a new file format, a new graph format. What if, the starting point is now a different starting point, and we generate 3D files using AI.
So this is a bit perfect because the first half of this is exactly what I've been thinking. I completely agree. The second half is new to me, and I'm very excited by it. So I will say it back to you. The thing we agree is that as long as you describe things properly, of course, what properly means is the whole issue here. I felt that we should be able to then, if we record the locations and all of that, that should be renderable in a 3D space. So that's where we agree, and that's fine. Now, the new thing you added, which I'm very excited about, completely agree with, and I wish I was the one who thought it up first, is we can then ask it for entirely different things. Right? So in the little spec thing that I wrote, I had XYZ, and we should keep XYZ because that can be good storage for a specific view. However, what you're really adding to it now is here's a ton of stuff. Here's a new LLM. Here's a new visualization engine. What can you show me?
I think we can actually. Do you remember that last time we created an agent in ChatGPT? I think we could. What would be very interesting to create an agent, and we give it a bit of visual meta, some nodes you just described to me.
Hang on.
Uh,
I don't know what happened there. Yes, please
no,
continue.
no worries. So we give it three nodes in BibTeX, which have a location and blah blah blah. And in Blender, I'm going to uh, model that BibTeX as a 3D graph with exactly those locations, names, and metadata. And I will save this to a JSON, which is a GLTF JSON. And we feed the agent these two things, and we say that this BibTeX is this GLTF JSON file. So if that is the sort of his knowledge, then he can basically extrapolate anything, any 3D model from that based on different BibTeX.
Yes, and the thing that I thought was interesting breakthrough yesterday was that kind of training could be in the prompt. And as you know, visual meta has its own introduction. So when I tested last week on my thesis, can you extract stuff? It did. It figured out that there was visual meta without me telling it. It read all the data, put it on a different format, so that worked. So I think I'm repeating what you're saying now. So if we put this training data as an example, a good prompt and a good series of nodes then depending on which LLM it's given to, it'll be useful in different renderings. But of course, if it knows the original LLM and does it in the same way, it would be the same thing. But that's not really the point. The point is to have it interactable.
Yeah. So I think if we slip in some, it, so for example, XR fragments is basically a spec which says that if there is an href metadata property, then it's basically interactive. You can click it and you can do something with it. Is there something like that in is that what you mean with interaction, or do you mean with it should be grabbable, it should be stretchable, it should be um, so yeah, that's
What I mean by interaction is I like the idea of the Doug handbook because we can now make it a hand interaction. What
Mhm.
we saw from Fabien's model where he was using his fingers to, oh my God, that was amazing. So I mean both. I mean that, and I mean even speaking to an LLM or whatever we want to call it and say, show me this like a Roman emperor might have seen it, or whatever it might be. You know, so it's the global kind of thing, there is the specific kind of thing, and then there's the manual in addition. Because if you look at this kind of test text here, you know, there's just, we have a name for whatever reason, and we have one kind of location. Now, what William is saying in his text messages, maybe we want to have a vector on there instead. Fine, I don't care. That's just brilliant. But all we have is in a normal, like, author graph, all that would show would be the title, electronic literature. That's all it would show. We can have all this other stuff. You know, obviously you wouldn't have that in a sphere here. It's just, this is just dumpy stuff, right? We have citation in full, we have refers to time, whatever the heck we want should be extractable. So we should be able to say, take this below, put it on a timeline if time is included. You know, it was all these different things we talked about in the community for so long. We just need a place to put it. And now finally, what's been unlocked this year is a way to actually unlock it. It's insanely amazing, I think.
Yeah, I still think that that is totally doable if the yeah, if we just feed the AI this BibTeX, and on the other hand, we also feed it some different projections in 3D, maybe made in Blender, which the AI can correlate with. Let's say a timeline projection. I'm not really sure if you wanna. I'm also curious, like how idiotic might it be to have this to have this generated in real time versus pre pre-generated 3D models. I mean, as in like the moment I receive a copy paste of this BibTeX, um, yeah, would this be doable in real time to generate such a model?
I mean,
Yeah.
it might be, but what's so exciting about your added perspective here of let's not worry too much about the location stuff. Let's worry more about the metadata per node and the relationships is different LLMs would render it differently. I mean, one thing that we've been crying out for in the community for so long has been different renderings of the base underlying information. In HTML, you can kind of do it. PDF, it's extremely difficult to do it. Imagine if you have yourself a workspace for the work we're doing together, right?
Mhm.
So you have all kinds of stuff. One of them might even be Paul Smart's LLM of the philosopher, Andy Clark. These things can be basically anything. And then you and I having an argument. This is similar to what we talked about yesterday, but you send your we need to find a name for it. You cluster, you view your environment to me. And I can choose to see it exactly as you had it, but because I've got my own flavors, I can also choose to color it, whatever that might mean, to view it slightly differently. And then I can do, if I want to, manual changes and send it back to you, right? The opportunity of what you can do with something when something knows what it is immense. And what I'm realizing in this conversation, and it's a bit emotional actually, is that my original dream for visual meta was that documents should be able to communicate to the external world what they are. So what you have helped me understand is that we're talking about in an XR environment, the nodes should all be able to communicate to an external environment what they are. And that can create absolutely amazing stuff. We're literally talking, angel dust like Peter Pan here. Sorry for being a bit theatrical, but that's what we're sprinkling.
Yeah, and I think the black swan here is that maybe this is achievable not by coming up with a new graph format, but more showing a way of how an AI can correlate from can translate from yeah, using AI as a translator from uh, visual meta to whatever 3D file format exists, which then can be visualized in your space. And if you want to manipulate it, you can do that, and then you can have the AI translate it back into visual meta again. And so basically, the visual meta is what's being sent between users, but the final representation, the spatial representation, can can be, let's say, undecided and can be decided by the user or by the AI capabilities. This is so I don't know how to call this, but it's almost as if we're talking about a meta a meta format. It's not really a specific single file format we're talking about here. It's more like
It's a meta.
a meta. Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of amazing. One question, first of all, will you be able to join us tomorrow?
What is the time tomorrow?
In UK, 3 to 5. So for you, 4 to 6.
46. Well, I think I can chip in 1 hour for sure. Is it which hour should be the best? The first hour or the second hour?
Um, I'm going to look at our agenda. So it starts with the announcements. Dini may be talking a bit about case studies. Mark maybe a bit of libraries. Then it'll be 30 minutes of Andrew showing an update of what he's got. And then at the end of it, I'm going to be talking about what I call an interchange notations design, just to make it really vague what it is, but it's exactly what we're talking about now. You have a VR headset, right?
Right.
Have you been trying some of Andrew's work?
I think that's already a while ago when I tried.
Okay,
So I should actually. Do you have a link or?
yeah, I'm going to send you a link. So we post it on here quite, Wednesday morning. It tends to come up a new build. So okay, so here's my dream, because I got to go now, unfortunately. I'm so thrilled talking to you. Here's my dream. We're in a world like the same movies. In a world. So I have got lots of stuff. You've got lots of stuff, and I open, for the sake of argument, author, and I have a normal flat thing, and I do a gesture, and the whole thing collapses in like as though it's a flat image. So it's rendered now like a JPEG or whatever, 2D. But of course, that's rendered there, and all of this stuff is at the back of the document in an appendix, right? So I send it to an entirely different person. They go through the document, come across this, and it's somehow indicated that this is not a flat image, and they can literally pull it up, and then it becomes environmental at whatever scale they want. But then also, you could speak or do another thing to copy that environment and literally just email it to someone or throw it over the network or you can take, and this is the key, this is the real breakthrough from today, and I'm really grateful. You could take one element of that and copy and send that, and that element can be sent with a lot of metadata. It can be
Yeah,
original place, all kinds of stuff.
like a subset. And yeah, to be honest, I think I know you have to go, but let me add one last thing. I think this is where BibTeX visual meta can shine a bit better compared to the more technical markup languages like JSON, or because it's easier to copy paste. It's easier to take out a little piece and not have a compiler complain that it's not valid JSON or something. So JSON breaks very easily, and BibTeX is much more forgiving. So I think this copy pastable spatial data, yeah, I think this is something very interesting. Yeah, CSS is also in that same category. It doesn't. It's a little bit more strict, perhaps, but not as strict as JSON per se.
And I really want to work more with the web and internet stuff you do with addressability and so on. We need to find out ways to make this truly compatible. You know, the whole, I remember with Doug, I was so excited when I realized after a URL, you can put whatever you want and it'll be discarded by the browser if it doesn't know what it is. You know, you just made a whole world of that. And that's really, really important stuff. So, you know, different ways of transmitting the same underlying stuff is very, very, very exciting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thank you for today. If you don't mind, I'll put this small chat up in our little YouTube playlist. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Oh, by the way, I haven't have I put the 360 video stuff on hold for a bit. I'm kind of swamped with some deadlines, but at some point I will definitely get back to that.
Yeah, no, there's so many opportunities. I mean, that would be that would be another interesting thing, actually. So many interesting things. All right, we made progress. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, first or second hour, whatever time you have. All right, bye.
Oh, sorry, what time was that?
Let me double
4
check.
till 6, right? 4 till 6.
As
Okay.
the time that just started, where our call just started now is when it starts.
All right, perfect.
So that is indeed your 4, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, wonderful. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, have fun. Bye bye.